Hello guys, welcome. Welcome to Ashutosh Coaching Center. Now today we are going to start chapter name is ecosystem. तो ecosystem होता क्या है चलो देख लेते हैं. Ecosystem is the fundamental unit of nature and where living organisms interact and among themselves and also with the surrounding physical environment. इकोसिस्टम क्या होता है? इकोसिस्टम स्ट्रक्चर एंड फंक्शन उसका जान लेते हैं. इसका इकोसिस्टम का स्ट्रक्चर और फंक्शन क्या होता है. सबसे पहली बात की देयर आर टू बेसिक टाइप ऑफ कैटेगराइज ऑफ इकोसिस्टम नेमली टेरेस्ट्रियल एंड द इक्वेटिक. टेरेस्ट्रियल क्या होता है जो कि जैसे कि जो भी एनिमल जो लैंड पे रहता है उसको क्या बोलते हैं टेरेस्ट्रियल कहते हैं, और जो वाटर में रहता है उसको बोलते हैं एक्वेटिक. जो है लिख लिया तो मैंने बता दिया बस. एग्जांपल तो देख लो, ये सब है. ये सारे इकोसिस्टम जो है जो लैंड पे पाए जाते हैं, ये सारे इकोसिस्टम जो है वो पानी पाए जाते हैं. ओके. एंड आगे देखा जाए तो बात यहाँ पे आता है कि बायोटिक्स और अबायोटिक में क्या फ़र्क होता है. चलो देख लेते हैं. तो बायोटिक एंड अबायोटिक फैक्टर ऑफ इकोसिस्टम वर्क इन इंटीग्रेटेड मैनर फॉर अ फ्लो of energy within a component of ecosystem. Interaction of biotic and abiotic component result in a physical structure that is characterized for each type of ecosystem. Vertical distribution of different species occupying the different level of मतलब different level is called stratification. And for example, the trees occupy the top vertical strata or layer of the forest shrubs, and the second and hops and the grasses occupy the bottom layer. The component of the ecosystem that are seen in the function unit are productivity, decomposition, energy flow, nutrient cycle. Productivity क्या होता है? The constant input of a solar energy is the basic requirement for any ecosystem and to the function. Primary production is defined as the net amount of biomass and the matter and the produced per unit area and over a time period by the plants during the photosynthesis, and it is expressed in the weight of gram per meter square or kilocalorie per meter square. The rate of biomass production is called productivity. Okay, इसको ध्यान रख लेना. It expressed in the term of gram per meter square per yard square and the per इस कहते नहीं ये सब इसका यूनिट से भी याद कर लीजिए. And compare the productivity of different ecosystem. It can be divided into a gross primary productivity GPP and net primary productivity NPP. And the gross primary productivity of an ecosystem is the rate of organic matter during the photosynthesis. Got gross primary product and the minus respiration loss are. It is the net primary productivity NPP, that is GPP minus R is equal to NPP कहते हैं. सीधा सीधा बोला जाए तो GPP माइनस RPP इज इक्वल टू होता है, ये भी कैसे दोनों कह सकते हो, बल्कि दोनों ही ठीक. इस फॉर्मूला को ध्यान कर ले. Okay, this one is very important. Net primary productivity is the available biomass for the consumption consumption to the heterotrophs, herbivores, and the decomposers. Secondary productivity is defined as the rate of formation of the organic matter by the consumers. Okay. हाँ. And the primary productivity depend on the plants species inhabiting and a particular area, and it is also depend on the variety of environmental factor and the availability of nutrients and the photosynthetic capacity of plants, and therefore varies in the different types of ecosystem. Decomposition क्या होता है? Decomposition break down the complex organic matter into organic substance and the like carbon dioxide and water and the nutrients, and the process is called decomposition. Dead plant remains such as leaf, bark, flowers, and dead remains of the animals, and including the fecal matter constituent detritus and which is raw material decomposition. And the step in the process of decomposition are the fragmentation, leaching, and the catabolism, humidification, and the mineralization. The fragmentation and of detritus. The detritus feeds of the detritus break down the increases and the surface of the detritus particles of the microbial action. Leaching, soluble organic organic nutrient dissolving in water and the percolates through the soil and removed due to leaching action, catabolism. The decomposer bacteria and fungi release the enzymes and decompose the detritus and the simpler organic compound. Humanification, that simplified the detritus converted into to humans. And humus too is a dark and amorphous substance, high resistance to a microbial action, and undergoes decomposition very slow, and the reservoir of nutrients due to a colloidal nature. Mineralization. Humus is a degraded and released inorganic substance like CO2, H2O, H2O, and nutrients CF2 plus, Mg2 plus, K plus, etc. फैक्टर अफेक्टिंग रेट ऑफ डिकम्पोजिशन. फर्स्ट है हमारा केमिकल, सेकंड है हमारा क्लाइमेटिक. केमिकल क्या होता है? डिकम्पोजिशन रेट विल बी स्लो डाउन व्हेन डेट्रिटस इनरिच and in lysine, and kiting rate increases when detritus is rich in nitrogen and water soluble substance like sugar. दूसरा कह रहा है क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशन में the warm and the moist environment favor decomposition, and the low temperature anaerobic and inhibits decomposition. Energy flow. All living organisms are independent for their food on the producer directly or indirectly. There is unidirectional flow of energy and from the sun to the producer and then to the consumer. Photosynthetically active radiation PAR is responsible for the synthesis for the food by the plant, and the animal obtain their food from the plants, and so they कहते नहीं है, so they are called consumer. And the process of eating पता नहीं eating and being eaten is called food chain. Okay, कहते हैं process of eating or being eaten is process called food chain, and which energy flow from the producers to consumer. In grazing the food chain, GFO, and grass producer and the goat primary consumer and the man secondary consumer. Detritus food chain and begins with the dead organic matter. It is made up of decomposer, which are heterotropics and organic fungi and the bacteria. Also breakdown known as saprotrophs, and the decomposers secrete digestive enzymes and that break down dead and the waste material into a simple inorganic material, which are subsequently absorbed by them, and natural interconnection of the food chain from the food web. Based on the source of food, organism occupy a specific places in the food chain mat that is known as trophic level. Okay, and each trophic level has a certain mass of living material in at a particular time is called as standing crops, and it is measured as biomass of living organism or number in a unit area. Okay, the number of trophic level is in the grazing food chain in the limited as the transfer of energy flow 10% law, and that is only 10% of the energy is transferred to each trophic level of from the trophic level, and the in GFC flowing the trophic level are possible, and the producer herbivorous, primary carnivorous, and secondary carnivorous. Okay, GFC एंड DFC का याद रखा है यहाँ पे, इसको आप ध्यान से पढ़ सकते हैं. GFC में क्या होता है? ट्रांसफर ऑफ एनर्जी फ्रॉम प्रोड्यूसर. इसमें क्या होता है? ट्रांसफर ऑफ एनर्जी स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम डेरिटस या ऑर्गेनिक मैटर. इसमें लेस एनर्जी होता है, इसमें मोर एनर्जी होता है. इसमें एक्वेस्टिक सिस्टम होता है, इसमें टेरेस्ट्रियल सिस्टम होता है. ओके, ध्यान रखना इसको. इकोलॉजिकल पिरामिड क्या होता है? इकोलॉजिकल पिरामिड इज द जियोग्राफिकल ग्राफिकल रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ इकोलॉजिकल पैरामीटर्स, नंबर्स, biomass and energy sequence wise in the various trophic level of a food and chain, with a producer at the base and the herbivorous in the middle and the carnivorous at the top reverse tiers. It can be upright, inverted or spindle shaped. Three common ecological pyramid: the pyramids of number. employ the number of individual per unit area, various tropic level producer at the base and the various consumer at successively higher level, and it is generally upright. A pyramid of number in case of a big tree is generally inverted, and because the number of insect feeding on that the tree is generally exceed in number. बी हमारा है पिरामिड ऑफ बायोमास। पिरामिड ऑफ बायोमास क्या होता है? पिरामिड ऑफ बायोमास रिप्रेजेंटेड द बायोमास इन द वेरियस ट्रॉफिक लेवल। अ पिरामिड ऑफ मास अपराइट एक्सेप्ट इन एक्वेटिक food chain and involving the short-lived plankton, and the pyramid of biomass in sea generally inverted, and the biomass of fishes generally exceed the phytoplankton, and फिर सी नंबर हमारा है pyramid of energy. Okay, pyramid of energy that give a strong graphic representation amount of energy and are trapped by the different tropic level per unit area, and the pyramid of energy is also always upright, can never be inverted, and because when energy is flow from particular tropic level and level to the toxic level, some energy is always long lost as a heat each step, and in example in feeding, digestion, assimilation and respiration. इकोलॉजिकल सक्सेशन क्या होता है? The gradual and the fairly predictable changes in the species and the composition of a given area is called ecological succession. During succession, some species colonies and an area whereas the population of other species decline and the even disappear. The entire sequence of community that successively changes in a given area are called series. Okay, and the individual of transitional community are termed serial or stages or several community. In the successive several stages, there is a change in the diversity of species of organism, increase the number of species and organism as well as the increase the number of total biomass. Okay, the successive serial stages is a change of diversity of species and increase, ये तो पढ़ लिए थे, अब यहाँ से पढ़ना था ना. Succession is the hence a process of that starts in an area where no living organism are there. This could be area where no living organism were ever existed, like bare rock, or area that somehow lost all the living organisms that exist there. The former is called or primary succession, and while the later is termed secondary succession. The example of area where the primary succession occurred are newly cooled lava and bare rock, and newly created pond or reservoir. Establishment of a new biotic community is generally slowed. Before a biotic community of diverse organism and can become established, there must be soil, and depending mostly on the climates, it takes natural process and several hundred to the thousand years produce fertile on the bare rocks. Secondary succession क्या होता है? Secondary succession begins in the area and the natural biotic communities have been destroyed, such as abundant farmland and burned or cut forest, and land that have been flooded, and the since some soil or sediment is present, succession faster than primary succession. Okay, अब देखते हैं ये लास्ट में क्या करा है. एट एनी टाइम ड्यूरिंग द प्राइमरी एंड सेकेंडरी सक्सेशन एंड नेचुरल एंड ह्यूमन इंड्यूस्ड disturbance and the fire deforestation can be converted and a particular serial stages on a succession earlier stage. Okay, सक्सेशन ऑफ प्लांट क्या होता है? सक्सेशन ऑफ प्लांट क्या होता है? तो based on nature of habitat and whether it is a water or it is a dry areas, succession of the plant is called hydrarch and the exerarch respectively. Hydrarch succession takes place in wet areas, and the succession series in the from the hydric mestic condition, whereas xerarch succession takes place in the dry areas series through the progress of from the xeric to the mesic condition. Hence both hydric and xeric succession lead to the medium water condition mesic and the neither to dry xeric and not to wet and hydric. The species that invade a bare area are called pioneer species, and the primary succession on the rock. These are usually lichens are which are able to secrete acid to dissolve rock and helping the weathering the soil formation. In primary succession in water, pioneer are small phytoplankton and that are replaced by the free floating angiosperm. The primary succession is a slow process as soil is not available for pioneer species and but the secondary succession is comparatively faster due to the availability of soil on the other or other nutrients. The climax community is reached much faster in the case of secondary succession. अब हमारा न्यूट्रिएंट साइकिलिंग क्या होता है द अमाउंट ऑफ न्यूट्रिएंट्स सच एज कार्बन नाइट्रोजन फॉस्फोरस कैल्शियम प्रेजेंट इन द सॉइल एट अ गिवन टाइम and referred to as a standing rate and the variety and the various in the different kind of ecosystem on also seasonal basis and the movement of the nutrients elements through the various components of the ecosystem is called nutrient cycle and it is also called as biogeochemical cycle. ओके जहाँ बायो का मतलब होता है लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म और जियो का मतलब होता है रॉक. न्यूट्रिएंट्स साइकिल आर ऑफ टू टाइप गैसियस एंड सेडिमेंट्री. गैसियस क्या होता है देखो आगे देखते हैं रिजर्वोयर ऑफ गैसियस टाइप ऑफ न्यूट्रिएंट साइकिल कार्बन नाइट्रोजन साइकिल एंड द कार्बन साइकिल. Environmental factor example soil moisture pH temperature etc regulate the rate of release nutrients into the moisture. Okay. कार्बन साइकिल क्या होता है the carbon cycle occurred through the atmosphere and ocean and through the living organism dead and organism. Most of the carbon is fixed by the plant and during the process of photosynthesis returns back to the atmosphere from the OC and the CO2 and during the respiration burning of wood and the forest fire and the combustion of organic material fossil fuel and volcanic are the other source of releasing CO2 in the atmosphere. उसके बाद हमारा phosphorus cycle. The natural revisor of the forest for phosphorus is rock which contain the phosphorus in the form of phosphate on the weathering minute on amount of phosphate and minute amount of minute amount of phosphate dissolved in the soil and absorbed by the root and of the plants. The waste product dead organic are decomposed by the bacteria to release phosphorus and the gaseous exchange between the organism and the environment is negligible as compared to the carbon. Ecosystem health ecosystem are based for the wide range of ecosystem environment and aesthetic good and services. The product of ecosystem processes and are the named as ecosystem service. For example, healthy and the forest ecosystem purify air and water and the mitigate drought and flood and the cycling nutrients and the generate fertile and the soil provide wildlife habitat and the maintain biodiversity and the pollinate crops and the provide storage site of the for the carbon and the also provide aesthetic culture and the spiritual value. Thus, the value of such services of biodiversity is difficult to determine. It seems reasonable to think that biodiversity should carry a hefty price tag. Researchers have put an average price tag on US $33 trillion of year on the fundamental ecosystem services and which are largely taken granted because they are free. This is nearly twice a value of global gross production and GNP, which is 18 US dollar trillion. 18 US dollar 18 trillion. Out of the total cost of various ecosystem, the soil formation account about the 50% contribution of the service recreation and the nutrient cycle and are the less than percent each. The cost of climate regulation and habitat wildlife are about 6% each. So guys, thanks for watching video till the end. Bye bye, see you in next video. You are a part of neat and AIMS journey. So आपको जितना हो सके उतना लाइक शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब। बाय बाय।